Welcome back to the channel Bridging the Gap Student to Engineer, where STEM professionals provide advice to students. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive into the University of Texas system. I got a request for University of Texas at Austin, and I know that many in Texas and elsewhere have choices when it comes to Texas schools. The University of Texas system provides all their data together, so we're going to go through that as one video looking at a lot of different schools. So going to the University of Texas System Seek UT website, they have some really nice graphics looking at different things. So they're talking about real grads, real earnings, realistic expectations. I think they've done a good job of providing a nice splash page. When we get into the data, we'll see how useful it is or how readily accessible it is. So if we scroll down a little bit, what they have categorized is undergrads, grads, and medical. So since we're looking at undergrads typically on this channel, I'm going to just focus in this section. But you'll also see that there's results for national and Texas. So this is the first school where I've seen where they focus, where they separate the data by grads that go nationally and grads that stay in the state. Um, Diving into this data, it becomes a little bit more complicated and harder to look at results as a whole when you've got them separated out like this. What I've done is I've gone to the Texas results, and I'll show you those in a minute. Looking at national results to me would be more helpful, but the way that that data is presented is a little bit more difficult. So we're going to just look at UT grads that graduate and stay in Texas, and look at all the different engineering majors available. It's a little bit clunky in the way that they have set up, so I've already done this filter. I provide the link to this in the video comments, so if you know what specific major you're looking at, then you can definitely go in and click and get a lot more data than what I'm going to show in this video. But we'll look at the income data and what other things are available. So what I've done is I've gone to University of Texas Austin, and I've selected the engineering majors that are available. One thing that the UT system provides that I haven't seen in other schools is not only the first year, but the 5th year and the 10th year, and then they're looking at loans. So one of the focuses for the UT system website is showing you that a UT education is worth it and that you will not graduate with a lot of loans. You'll see that they're all around $20,000. I have not dug into the loan data simply because I haven't done that for a lot of other schools. But one thing to note when we're talking about loans is that when you as a student go into university and you go to get loans, you only have the ability to get a certain amount of loans a year. Your parents have to sign for the rest of those loans. And so if you look at being able to take out $5,500 worth of loans a year times being in school 4 years, that comes out to about $20,000, $30,000. So these numbers right here to me indicate that if that is only the student loans, that students are graduating in a reasonable amount of time and they're taking out the maximum number of loans. So I'm not super focused on this being better or worse than other places. It's just something that the University of Texas system is trying to highlight. And I'm not sure they're giving the whole picture because they're not looking at what this parent loans are available. Okay, but if we look at the earnings by major, it's pretty typical of what we've seen other places. Some of the engineering degrees are graduating and making a little bit more than others. So like 95 and 92 for electrical and chemical. And then other majors such as architectural, civil, typically are a little bit lower in the range than others. So what I did, because this is a little bit more difficult for me to see, although it is nice and graphic, and if I know exactly what I want to look for, I can filter for it and get that information. What I've done is I've downloaded the data and I've done some of my own analysis. So let's go over to where that is. So this analysis that we're going to look at is the data that you can download from the UT website, and then I've put it into a pivot table. And I'm going to move this data around so that you can just see things and be able to compare different schools within the UT system. Right now, what I have is it's sorted by the school first, and then the major. And then what I've left in here is the sum of the cohort. So this is the size of the classes, and then the average wage, well, the median wage when the students graduate. And then I've also left on the maximum. I really like to use median more uh, most of the time, because that's the best picture of what you can expect to make when you graduate. But I've also left in the maximum because, those are nice, hopeful, high numbers that you shouldn't expect, but are nice to look at. So if I'm just looking at UT Austin, I look at all the different types of engineering they have. They're pretty big numbers for how many students graduate, and then the average of the median. So this is the number that we've been looking at a lot of other schools, is about $81,000 for new grads. That's exactly what we've been seeing in all of the other schools, the top tier schools that we've been looking at. But if you're looking at other schools within the UT system that wouldn't necessarily be considered top tier, but are still good schools, they're a little bit lower. 71,000 for Arlington. Dallas is 74. El Paso is significantly lower. So if you are looking at different schools within the UT system, you can tell how they fare overall compared to each other. But I think more telling is switching this around so that you get by major and then by institution. So if I'm going to go major in civil engineering and I'm looking at, should I go to Arlington, Austin, El Paso, San Antonio, Tyler? A lot of times you'll make that decision about based on where you live. Maybe you can live at home, but if those types of things are not a factor, are you looking at maybe, is it worth spending a lot of money to pay for housing in another location? These kind of comparisons can help you. So if we're looking just at civil engineering as a quick example, grads from Austin make a median of $75,000 versus the El Paso grads, which are making a median of 60. So just right off the bat, comparing those two different schools, I can expect that I'll make about $15,000 more as a grad from Austin than I would if I stayed in El Paso. That may make it worth it for you to move to Austin if you live in El Paso and pay the extra money for housing, or it may not. So something to look at, and I will just scroll through here and look at the different options. Other schools like electrical has a number of different schools offer that, and you can see that grads from Austin make significantly higher than the other grads, the other schools. But $77,000 from Tyler is very respectable. 79,000 from Dallas. Same with Arlington. You can compare how the different locations fare when they're looking at grads from those different places. Now, on mechanical, you'll see 82 for Austin, and then significantly lower, like $30,000 lower for El Paso and Rio Grande Valley. So it may be worth taking on a little bit more debt and moving, but definitely something that each person would need to look at. Interestingly, petroleum engineering is only offered at a few of the locations. They're called different things, so they're not listed together, but UT Permian Basin, 92,000 versus 97 at UT Austin. Pretty close still, so probably not a big deal That's the information available for the UT system, focused on UT Austin. What we don't have as information is the states where those grads go and the global or national impact that the grads have when they're moving other places. So it's a little bit hard to tell. As someone in the industry, I would tell you that a UT Austin degree is nationally known and will get you places, and have name recognition elsewhere. The other colleges in the UT system are probably a little bit less known if you're just looking at your first job right out of college. Although, when you've gotten 5 or 10 years into your career, where you got the degree doesn't matter so much, but it's really about those first 1 or 2 jobs, where the name recognition is important. So that's what we have for UT Austin and UT system. Please leave a comment, questions, anything you have, and we'll start the conversation.